The next question will return to Mr. Owens. What will you do as Attorney General to reduce crime in Georgia?
Well, first of all, let's cover what the Attorney General does. You know, it's about 130 lawyers in the Department of Law. About 7 of them do criminal, which is mainly death penalty appeals. The Attorney General is not there to replace the district attorney. The Attorney General is to augment and assist the district attorneys. Now, there are several things that can happen in that regard with the bully pulpit as well as the staff. For instance, I personally support a statewide grand jury. All of our sister jurisdictions have it. Where you have gangs that commit crime in numerous counties and numerous jurisdictions, there ought to be one trial, there ought to be one jury, there ought to be one time those victims and witnesses have to come forward. Additionally, in that regard, I believe that the fraud unit based in Tucker is wholly insufficient. Last year they broke new records. They had a whopping 10 fraud Medicaid cases. Now, no one in this room really thinks there were only 10 cases worth going forward. So I think we need to overtly look over that unit and to strengthen that unit.
I do think the Attorney General's office ought to be more involved in crime prevention and protecting our citizens. Many other states use their Attorneys General offices for that very purpose. And the fact that Georgia hasn't is not a reason to extend and continue the use of the office just for a bully pulpit. The reality is we should have a statewide grand jury. There are very serious crimes that we face every single year. There are crimes of human trafficking, of child sexual exploitation, of illegal immigration, and even human drug trafficking that come through our city and our state, our cities and our state every single year. In fact, Atlanta is one of the nation's highest cities for human trafficking, and in Georgia is one of the highest states. There's no reason why a statewide problem like that, like child sexual exploitation, like human trafficking, couldn't be a focus of the Attorney General's office, where he could alleviate some of the problems of a smaller DA's office, which is dealing with crimes that happen in and around the city every day. So we have some big statewide problems that we could fix and should fix if the Attorney General would become more active in this area. It would take cooperation and policy making with the General Assembly to change the office to do just that.
I would suggest that a point in time where the budgets are being reduced, that's not the appropriate time where the Attorney General puts more on their plate. Let's have an Attorney General do more effectively what's already on his plate, i.e. the fraud unit, which is not working presently. When the budget improves, when you've done a full appreciation of the budget, if you have areas where you can augment and assist district attorneys, that's great. But let's not take on more than we can chew now in that process.
Well, we totally disagree about this. You tell a victim of crime that it just wasn't efficient enough for us to get involved because we've got too many things going on with DOT land condemnations to build roads. And you tell me that they're going to be satisfied that we've got enough on our plate and didn't want to expand the office during lean times. The reality is we've got very serious crimes going on, and they affect Georgia's families, they affect the business environment in our state, they affect the ability of Georgians to enjoy life and live in our state. As a state senator and a member of the General Assembly, as chairman of Judiciary, I passed a law to allow victims, families of murder victims, to have those people locked up for life with no parole for the crime of murder, which had never been the law in Georgia before. And now a DA can tell a family, if we get a conviction, this person will never be on the street again to harass you or your family or threaten you. Now, their response could have been, Preston, our jails are big enough, we need to let these murderers back out on the street because our plate is full and we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. You tell that to a victim's family that's been murdered, someone that's been murdered in their family. They'll tell you there is not a price great enough to enforce justice. And that's what the Attorney General's office ought to be doing, is willing to make those tough decisions, even if you have to buckle down and work harder for less.